What if I told you that the most dangerous people in the world don't raise their voice, that the truly powerful aren't the ones who dominate a room with volume, but with silence? There's something about a quiet, calculated villain that unsettles us. They don't threaten, they simply wait, and when they finally move, it's already too late. We see them across films, literature, and even history. The villain who doesn't rant, who doesn't panic, who operates like a ghost behind a curtain. And maybe what's most terrifying of all, they seem to know something we don't. A secret way of thinking. A hidden playbook. Today, we open that playbook. In this video, we're diving deep into 6 core ideas, drawn from the minds of philosophers like Sun Tzu, Machiavelli, and Lao Tzu, to understand how silence and control form the foundation of a villain's psychology. But this isn't just about fiction. This is about real strategy, real psychology, and the chilling power of restraint. If you stay till the end, you'll walk away with more than entertainment. You'll gain insight into how power truly works, in stories and in life. 1. Silence as strategy, the villain's first weapon. Silence isn't passivity. In the mind of a villain, it's preparation. Sun Tzu famously wrote, "Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt." This single line from The Art of War reveals the deeper power of saying nothing. It's not about avoiding speech, it's about weaponizing absence. A quiet villain studies more than they speak. They listen for weaknesses, catalog reactions, and build psychological advantage. Every moment of silence creates unease in others. Think of characters like Michael Corleone or Tywin Lannister. Every word they speak has weight, because they so rarely waste them. Their silence isn't empty, it's loaded with meaning. We fear silence because it forces us to face ourselves. In a room with someone who says nothing, we start revealing too much, trying to fill the void. That's where the villain wins. They don't force control, they invite you to unravel yourself. And by the time you realize it, they've already made their move. 2. Machiavellian control, image over emotion. Niccolo Machiavelli in The Prince didn't teach evil, he taught survival. His most quoted advice, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both," captures the essence of villainous control. This isn't about cruelty for its own sake. It's about crafting an image strong enough to bend others without even touching them. Villains who follow Machiavellian principles understand that appearance is everything. They know how to seem generous, while staying ruthless underneath. They smile when they need to. They flatter when it serves a purpose. But behind that charm is strategy, a controlled facade meant to manipulate perception. This level of control requires deep emotional discipline. A Machiavellian villain doesn't lose their temper because anger is predictable. Predictability is weakness. Instead, they remain calm, calculating, and patient. That's why they often outlast the hero. Because while the hero reacts emotionally, the villain calculates. 3. Power in detachment, the Stoic villain. One of the most underrated philosophies in villain psychology is Stoicism. The Stoics believed that emotion should never control reason. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Now picture a villain who's already internalized that truth. They aren't driven by revenge or jealousy, they act with chilling precision. They can witness betrayal or chaos and not flinch. It's not because they don't care, it's because they've mastered the art of detachment. Their clarity comes from within, not from chaos outside. Characters like Ra's al Ghul from Batman or Ozymandias from Watchmen embody this. Their calm isn't fake, it's a result of philosophy. Their detachment allows them to make decisions that others would be too emotionally fragile to consider, and that's why they're so effective. Their power lies not in brute force, but in the refusal to be ruled by emotion. 4. The illusion of choice, psychological control. Many villains don't just control outcomes, they control options. A powerful psychological trick is to present others with the illusion of freedom, while guiding them exactly where you want. This concept comes from behavioral psychology, and it's often paired with manipulation techniques like framing, gaslighting, and anchoring. Think of villains who allow the hero to make a choice when both paths ultimately serve the villain's plan. It's a game of chess, not checkers. The opponent moves, thinking they're in control, when in fact every move was anticipated. This illusion of autonomy makes the victim feel responsible for their own downfall. Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche touched on this when he said, "He who cannot obey himself will be commanded." A villain's mastery lies in understanding people better than they understand themselves. They don't fight you, they use you. You choose the rope, you tie the knot. And only when it's too late do you realize who gave it to you. 5. Balance through chaos, the Taoist paradox. Not all villains seek destruction. Some believe they are correcting the world. This is where Taoist philosophy enters. Lao Tzu taught that all things exist in balance, light and dark, yin and yang. When you realize nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you, he said. But what happens when someone believes the world has tilted too far? Villains like Thanos or Light Yagami don't see themselves as evil. They believe they are restoring order. Taoism, when warped, can create a villain who sees death as mercy and destruction as healing. To them, imbalance is suffering, and their control isn't chaos, it's restoration through extreme means. What makes these villains so compelling is that they often have a point. They speak in terms of balance, necessity, and sacrifice. They're philosophers with a death count, and that's why we remember them, not because they scream, but because they make us question our morality. 6. The power of patience, playing the long game. Patience is not passivity, it's precision. In the realm of villain psychology, perhaps nothing is more underestimated than the ability to wait. Many of the most formidable villains don't rush their plans. They don't act out of desperation. Instead, they carefully orchestrate every detail, biding their time until the conditions are perfect. In strategy, this is known as delayed gratification. And in storytelling, it's what makes villains terrifying. Because while the hero is reacting to the moment, the villain is playing the decade. This mindset draws deeply from both Sun Tzu and Stoic philosophy. Sun Tzu writes, "He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight." A patient villain doesn't waste energy. They know when to stay in the shadows and when to strike like lightning. From a Stoic perspective, this also ties into emotional mastery. The patient villain doesn't lash out because they've learned to silence the urge for immediate justice or revenge. They understand that real power lies in the build-up. Think of characters like Tywin Lannister, who spent years consolidating influence before making decisive moves, or Gustavo Fring, whose quiet routines and soft demeanor disguised the fact that he was constructing an empire one silent brick at a time. Philosophically, patience is also a form of existential control. It requires a deep trust in time, in process, and in one's own vision. In a world that rewards speed and reaction, A patient villain is the ultimate counterforce. They don't need to scream to be heard or act quickly to prove strength. Their actions are minimal but precise, delayed but devastating. It's this long game thinking that makes them so powerful. Because while others are distracted by short-term wins, the patient villain is building inevitability. When their plan unfolds, it doesn't feel like an attack, it feels like fate. Learning from the villain. So what have we learned? The villain, at their core, is not a creature of chaos, but of order. Calculated, disciplined, and philosophical. They teach us that silence can be louder than noise. That control isn't dominance, it's restraint. And that true power, it's found in the mind that can wait, the mouth that can stay shut, and the hand that moves only when the time is right. From Sun Tzu's hidden strategies to Machiavelli's political mastery, from the stillness of Lao Tzu to the self-command of Marcus Aurelius, villains are often the embodiment of philosophy in motion. And while we may never want to be them, there's no denying we can learn from them. If this video sparked a new perspective in you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep exploring the minds that shape our stories, and sometimes, our own.